Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any debt.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Good morning to you and welcome to Global Morning, even on the weekend edition. My name is Godwin Sunday. Well, first and foremost, let me congratulate Nigerians across the world for the win yesterday against Rwanda at the Amahoro Stadium in Kigali. It was a very interesting win for Nigeria. Wow, what a way to begin to turn the tables around even for the World Cup qualifiers for Nigeria. I hope on Tuesday we'll be able to stay put with the win the way it came. But it's a sad day for Nollywood because we heard about the news about Nkechi Nweje, who just passed even on the Nollywood industry. Our condolences goes out to the Nollywood family. And of course, we're joining the Vice President of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima, to commiserate and also to condole with all the families that have lost their loved ones in the course of the fire incidents that occurred in the course of the week in along Nyanya Karo Nyanya Expressway. We condole with the families. Of course, it's a very long week. A lot of activities are played out in the course of the week. Now, let's take you down through some of the week and activities that played out on the week in focus. First, in the course of the week, we had that whether it was true or not true that the Rivers State governor in the person of Siminalayi Fubara was going to be impeached by the Rivers State House of Assembly. It was a whisper. Then we saw the president, just as it was about to materialize, as it was alleged, we saw the president writing to several media houses that there was going to be a national broadcast by the president, and the president wants to address the nation. Of course, we all looked out for that broadcast, and it was an interesting broadcast because the president, in that broadcast, that's what happened on the 18th of March 2025. The president suspended the state assembly, that's of River State's House of Assembly, and the president also suspended the sitting governor of Rivers State in the person of Fubara. And one of the reasons the president gave was to restore back some form of sanity to the system and to the state, and to ensure that there is no economic sabotage, especially with the vandalization of pipelines in the state. And of course, we saw that how that played out, and the next day that followed, being the 19th day of March, a lot of analysts, a lot of lawyers and politicians came out in mass to speak out on the actions of the president, saying that what the president has done was not right in itself, relying on Section 305 of the Nigerian Constitution to make such a state of emergency in Rivers State and suspend the sitting governor. It's unconstitutional. It's strange to the Nigerian practice and Nigerian Nigerian political space. It is strange to them. But then all of this were building up. But then the last hope was now for the National Assembly to wake up to its responsibility by either sanctioning the president or giving a nod to the president's action. And just 2 days ago, we saw the National Assembly coming out to say, hey, what the president has done is the right step in the right direction. And of course, they are in support of what the president has done and what the president has said so far. But then again, that's a very interesting conversation throughout the week, because that was in almost everybody's lip. And of course, we were expecting to see a total shutdown of law and order, but the people of Rivers State were so calm, were so matured to the reception of this particular order by Mr. President, and the reception so far has been very, very impressive in Rivers State. But speaking of Rivers State, and just yesterday we saw the new sole administrator of Rivers State in the person of Ibas yesterday coming out to make direct payment to Rivers State local government, making direct payment to local government in Rivers State by paying out their salaries. We thought that by this whole decision by the president, it will affect a lot of administrative procedures in Rivers State in terms of who signs the check, who is authorized to do what in Rivers State. But we saw all of that being handled, and that was a very interesting one. Of course, we expected even Algon to come out to speak about happenings in Rivers State and if it's okay by them. Of course, apart from that, also we've seen a lot of conversation springing forth, taking it down to Ekiti State, where we have the Ekiti State celebrated International Forest Day, and it was a very interesting one in Ekiti State. But a lot of all of those things are very, very, very interesting. Now, the Northern Elders in Nigeria, the Northern Elders are saying that there should be a reversal of the suspension now. Northern Elders are telling the president that there should be a suspension of Governor Fubara Siminalayi. Now, even though that we've seen Ibas doing a lot of things right now in Rivers State, he has assumed office, as it were, in Rivers State. But Northern Elders are still saying, hey, no, this is an aberration. Don't be proud of this time I've said that the Nigerian Bar Association, politicians, the likes of Atiku, Peter Obi, Nasir El-Rufai, and what have you, Bode George, have come out to openly criticize the action of the president in this regard. But then, right now we're seeing Northern Elders coming out to say, hey, this is not right. That is coming from the Northern Elders Forum, saying this is not right with some of the actions of Mr. President. The federal government and the president in particular must find a viable and permanent solution to the political crisis in Rivers State, and also immediately lift the suspension of the governor, deputy governor, and state assembly to restore spirit of democracy and justice and public order. Well, we hope the president will listen to this. But going by what has been said even at the House of Representatives, where they said that some of the motion that was also proposed to the House was that the president was going to also work out modalities to ensure that if normalcy returns back to Rivers State in the space of 3 months, 2 months, 1 week, or 2 weeks, then there's no need for the administrator to be there. It can be moved out. But then all of those conversations have made the week for us, and has been a very, very interesting week, interesting conversations around the week. Don't forgetting that we also have a lot of heat wave around the country. Okay, so we have a lot of heat waves around the country. People right now, especially if you're within the northern part of Nigeria, you should expected to not take your bath before going to bed. You're not expected also not to turn off your fan or whatever what facility you use for you to have some form of ventilation. You should not shut it down. You should open up and also try as much as you can to ensure that you are in a place where there is fresh air. The sun right now is a bit heavy, so wherever you are, you try as much as to stay under the shade of trees to be able to stay covered under the trees. But that's on what the week has been. But let's get you even start talking to us on the social media land right now and displayed on the screen. What do you think made the week for you? Is it the conversation around the Fubara that's of Rivers State, or the fact that at least I even forgot to even mention that because of the week we had Natasha's issue that also sprung in the course of the week? We had that conversation from the fact that it was alleged, and we've seen videos making the round, but then we've seen counter videos also speaking up about Natasha's recall by the good people of Kogi Central. And of course, a lot of people have come out to say that no, that was not actually the Kogi Central. That was people that don't even understand what's going on in Kogi State in its entirety, because Natasha speaks for the majority of us. And Natasha has done what a lot of senators prior to this time were unable to do, and she has been able to attain that height and surpass that height. We've heard a lot of comments from that section also. But we've seen that conversation also made the round in the course of the week, Natasha's case, and also the Eastern women also didn't even spare the conversation, because they came out in mass also to say that Natasha should be investigated on what took her to the IPU, which is International Parliamentary Union. What led her to that point? Because why did she decide to expose Nigeria? Why did she decide to ridicule Nigerian in the international community? This issue, she has already a suspension, and all of those conversation. It was what even made up the week for us. And not forgetting that in the course of the week we've had also a lot of presidential adjustment, readjustment, and a lot of policies that have been initiated. But that has been the week. But let's know from the social media handle, like I said before now, what has made the week for you? Is it that of Natasha's issue? Is it that of Fubara's conversation? Is it that of Ekiti? Not forgetting also that we had that of Ondo State, where we have the headers farmers clash in Ondo State, and quite a lot of deaths have been so far allegedly recorded. We've seen protests in Akure, the Ondo State capital, and all of this conversation. But let's know what you think about happenings in the country in the course of the week. What interests you in the course of the week, even as you begin to follow the conversation. Let's know on our social media handle right now, displayed on the screen at Global TV NG. At Global TV NG to keep track of the conversation. Let's get your take on those conversations right now on our social media handle. All right, at this point in time, while we get your take on the social media platform, we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be going straight to the newspaper desk to know what's happening. What are the papers saying even today? Let's know what the papers are saying today, being the days of the Lord, 22nd of March 2025. I'll go nowhere. When we return, the conversations continue here on Global Morning. Stay with us.
Know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Welcome back. Let's take you through the papers this morning. Now, we begin with the first paper, and this is Weekend Thrust. Now, it starts just below the nameplate here. It says, ex-councillor killed, house raises as Osun communal clashes worsen. Ex-councillor killed, houses raised as Osun communal clash worsen. Now, it's a very sad one. Our hearts goes out to the ex-councillor's family. Well, that you can find that read on page 21 of the Weekend Trust. We break our fast with handouts, Kano family. We break our fast with handouts. You can find that on page 27 of who had that conversation and who breaks their fast with handouts. You can find out all of this conversation. PDP secretary crisis deepen after Supreme Court ruling. Okay, so just yesterday we heard that the Supreme Court has taken its decision about the PDP crisis, and one of that decision is should I let it out? No, you can go out there and get yourself a copy of the Weekend Trust to know what's going on even in PDP and what the Supreme Court said about the Court of Appeal decision in Enugu and all of this conversation, the federal court and all of this. You can go out and get yourself a copy. All right, it comes with a star story here that says 64 years after, clean water still a mirage for Nigeria. 64 years after, clean water still a mirage for Nigerians. Well, you can go out and get yourself a copy. How true is that Nigerians don't have clean water? Well, I can say for now, you can go out and get yourself a copy. The not so quiet lives of Nigerian past leaders. The not so quiet lives of Nigerian past leaders. You want to know what's going on in the lives of past leaders in the country? Of course, you can go out there and get yourself a copy of Weekend Trust to stay abreast with what's going on in Nigeria. Now we move on to the next paper. Now the next paper here is This Day newspaper. Yeah, This Day newspaper. Above the nameplate we have Wale Edun Cardoso move to deepen fiscal monetary policy collaboration. It comes with 3 riders here. It said Minister reaffirms FG's commitments to inclusive development. Customs commits 4% of annual wage bill to CSRO initiative. Now, all of those reads can be found on page 5 of This Day newspaper. Go out there and get yourself a copy of This Day newspaper to know what's going on in the country. All right, so we have a story here that says Super Eagles keep 2026 World Cup hope alive. Beat Rwanda 2-0. That's on the sports side of This Day newspaper. Go out there and get yourself a copy. All right, just below, immediately below the nameplate here, we have Nigeria-Canada signs code sharing agreement. You can find that read on page 5 of the This Day newspaper. After Supreme Court judgment, victory claims deepen power tussle in PDP. Okay, so you want to find out what's happening in PDP right now. After Supreme Court's judgment, victory claims deepen PDP power tussle. All of this conversation can be found on page let's see, page 5 of This Day newspaper. Now it comes with a star story here that says FG releases withheld allocations to IBAS. PDP governors head to court. All right, let's not dabble into this conversation right now, okay, because a lot of details that would have characterized this conversation, but I believe all has been enshrined and all have been captured also in This Day newspaper. So go out there and get yourself a copy of This Day newspaper. It comes with a rider here that says sole administrator makes orders payment of salaries to LG workers, charge traditional rulers to de-escalate tension. Ijo youth ask ECOWAS court to squash Fubara deputy assembly suspension. Kwankwaso CSO condemns state of emergency. demand immediate reversal. Northern Group hails Tinubu. Well, quite a very interesting read, but all of those stories you can find on page 5 of this day newspaper. Unical 37th convocation 50th anniversary. Okay, by the way, that's my alma mater, by the way. Okay, so you can go out there and get yourself a copy of Unical 37th convocation and 50th anniversary to know what's going on in the University of Calabar. All right, let's see. It comes with a lot of pictorial images here, picture news. We have quite a few here of awards and all of that's going on. I think we also have a picture here of the Senate president. Of course, in case you don't know, he is also a Malabite, just like some of us here, proud Malabite. Congratulations to all Malabites and Malabrests out there. All right, so let's come back to Saturday's Punch right now. Let's get punchy this Saturday. That's our next paper here. It's Saturday's Punch. Now, beside the nameplate here, we have Osimhen record-setting brace revives Eagles World Cup hopes. Osimhen's record-setting brace revives Eagles World Cup hope. Okay, we'll see how. If you want to know where we are on the table right now, especially Nigeria, on the table for World Cup qualifier, you can go out and get yourself a copy of the Punch newspaper to know what's going on. Naira for crude crisis. Naira for crude crisis. Petrol import rises to 154 million liters weekly. Now you can go out there and get yourself a copy of the Punch newspaper if you want to stay abreast with that conversation. PDP crisis deepening as Supreme Court reinstates Anyanwu secretary. All right, let's go out there and get yourself a copy to know what's going on in PDP. That's the People's Democratic Party. Just yesterday, the Supreme Court has reinstated Anyanwu, stating that party's affairs should be resolved in the party, and basically that should be the fundamental for parties' activities to begin to take responsibility for their actions. But then let's see, if you want to know more about that conversation, you can check the Punch newspaper. Rivers emergency rule. APC opposition continue to battle as PDP governors head for court. It comes with a rider. We can't watch democracy trampled upon, says Makinde. Sole administrator receive withheld LG funds under others' salary payment. Well, who is going to pay the salaries, and what are the modalities for salary payment? All right, what are the scope for the sole administrators purview of carrying out his operation, even in Rivers State? Well, all of this conversation you can find on the Punch newspaper. Not forgetting that we have a story here that says matrimonial battle. How UK-based Nigerian women exploit law to chase out husbands. Well, it comes to the rider. My wife connived with pastor to jail me, Nigerian man. It comes with a picture there, but you can see that story. How true is it that UK-based Nigerian women exploit law to chase out their husbands? Well, you can check that story out. It's an interesting read. Let me not let the cat out of the bag just yet. Okay, so my abductors revealed planned attack on Ondo communities, Afenifere Youth President. My abductors revealed planned attack on Ondo communities, Afenifere Youth President. All right, you can find that story also on the Punch newspaper. Travelers stranded after Heathrow Airport power outage. You can find that story also on the Punch newspaper. I beg your pardon, the Punch newspaper has all of those stories. School where my 4-year-old daughter lost left eye ordered my husband's arrest. School where my 4-year-old daughter lost her left eye ordered my husband's arrest. Trader. All right, you can find that story also on the Punch newspaper. Oni plotting my downfall after I helped him become king. Oluwo. Oni plotting my downfall after I helped him become king. That's at the foot of the Punch newspaper. You can go out and get yourself a copy of the Punch newspaper to know what's going on in the Punch. Now, before we get to the next newspaper here, which is the Vanguard, we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be getting to the next newspaper, which is the Vanguard newspaper. Please stay with us as Global Morning continues in a moment. All right, welcome back. So let's even delve into this other conversation here, which is on the Saturday's Vanguard newspaper. Here we have above the what they call it, above the nameplate here we have Osimhen braces lifts. Osimhen braces lifts Eagles to fourth place, even in the World Cup qualifier. Osimhen brace lifts the Super Eagles to fourth place, even in the World Cup qualifier. South Africa here also, we have a story here that says South African top group Benin Republic, Rwanda follows. Well, you can find all of those read in Saturday's Vanguard. NAFDAC destroys fake drugs worth 1 trillion naira in Oka. You can find that story on page 9 of the Saturday's Vanguard newspaper. We have a story here that says Biafra, Kanu pleads not guilty before New George. Court orders speedy trial, fixes April 29 for FG to call witness. It's a fresh trial also for Nnamdi Kanu, having spent how many years in prison so far. I understand that when he got into prison he was just 50 years old, and of course he has spent quite a number of years in prison, and let's see what will play out in the course of this. So just immediately after the nameplate here, we have Wike Fubara Field, out the war, began. We want to know how the war started and where they are in the war right now in PDP. Now, by war here, it doesn't mean it's a physical confrontation. It just means it's a political war. In this case, let me just put the record straight for the purpose of record keeping. All right, so Saturday's Vanguard here, just below the nameplate, we have a story that says PDP scribe. South Supreme Court passes block to party. Page 14. It comes with the rider that says nullifies lower court verdict. Verdict on Anyanwu faults judiciary's interference in parties and faults judicial interference in parties' internal affairs. Ude Okoye Anyanwu comes claim victory. All of those stories can be found on page 14 of the Saturday's Vanguard. Suspension of Rivers governors. That's a star story here. Suspension of Rivers governors. South tackles Tinubu blow by blow. It's a star story here. You can find that story on page 10. It comes with 4 riders. Now, the 4 riders here say Tinubu lacks the power to sack elected governor, deputy governor, lawmakers. That's leaders of stakeholders. It said, brokered unrealistic peace accord between Governor Fubara and Wike. That next rider here says it's incorrect to say the governor ignored the Supreme Court judgment. Fubara is wrong to demolish the assembly complex without providing an alternative venue. Both Tinubu and Fubara mismanaged the crisis. Well, all of those stories can be found in the Vanguard newspaper this morning. The next story says state of emergency. It is all about Rivers money. Anams Sarah Ige. You can find that story on page 3 of the Vanguard newspaper. That's Saturday's Vanguard newspaper. All of those stories about South tackling. Now, for me, what even caught my fancy is what caught my attention rather. It's the fact that South are tackling the president blow by blow. But we'll see how that plays out in the days ahead. But let's move to the next newspaper here, which is the Blueprint newspaper. Yeah, the Blueprint newspaper is our next paper here. And just above the nameplate, it says NNPC retail celebrates governors and clean women mechanic advocates. You can find that story also on. You can find that story on page. You can find that story on page. Let me see, just a minute. You can find that story on page 20 of the Blueprint newspaper. You can find that story on page 20 of the Blueprint newspaper. About the story here that says police confirmed 6 killed, 14 cars burnt in Abuja explosion. You can find all of those stories about what happened in Abuja some 2 days ago on the Blueprint newspaper. Then we have a story here that says Access Bank opens 193.23 billion commercial papers for subscription. Or you can find all of those read there even on the Blueprint newspaper. But for want of time, let's move to the next paper here, which is the Nation's newspaper. The Nation's newspaper. Let's go to the Nation's newspaper. Here it says IPOB, Kanu rearranged on treason charge before New George. Apologized for insulting court. George prosecuting lawyers. And that's very kind. That's very thoughtful of him to apologize for insulting the courts, the judges, and also the prosecuting lawyer. All right, so let's see how far this will go. But then we'll have another case here that say, another read here that says, Royal Rumble, Oluwo Oni clash over alleged dethronement plot. All right, so you want to know if there's a plot to dethrone the Oni of Ife. Well, you can find all of those read also on the Nation's newspaper, page 2 of the Nation newspaper here, just above the nameplate of the Nation newspaper. Now, just below the Nation's newspaper, we have the nameplate of the Nation's Saturday. We have PDP crisis. Anyanwu triumphant returns as party national secretary. It comes with two riders. The first one says Supreme Court reverses judgment, sacking him as scribe. The second one says Oluganagbe Ude Okoye remains National Secretary. Verdict confirms issue, not judicial matter. All right, you can find all of those read on page 5 of the Nation's newspaper. And we have here also just below the star story here, we have Rivers Emergency. IBAS directs payment of outstanding local government secretaries. Comes with two riders. Confirms release of withheld allocation. Legal expert backs Tinubu slams critics. So the divide is very strong. We don't know which part of the legal experts are backing the president. We understand also that the Nigerian Bar Association have come out to speak on the issue. But then you can go out there and read up and know which legal experts are and what legal experts have to say on this matter. Of course, it comes with the photo, the image of the current sole administrator of Rivers State right now. All right, let's get to the sporting side of the Nation's newspaper, where we have Super Eagles revive World Cup hopes, beat Rwanda 2-0. Super Eagles revive World Cup hope, beat Rwanda 2-0. You can find that story on the Nation's newspaper, page 47 to be precise, of the Nation's newspaper. Now, at the foot of the paper, we have what we call Natasha raises fresh sexual harassment allegations against Akpabio. Now, this is very interesting. A fresh sexual harassment against Akpabio. That's at the foot of the Nation's newspaper. You go out there and get yourself a copy of the Nation's newspaper to know what are the accusations, what the accusations are, what Natasha's saying at this point in time, and what will the National Assembly do in this regards. Will they have to suspend the sitting Senate President in order to allow investigations to go on, or they will have to come out with other modalities in order to address issues that borders on the Senate? Now, a lot of people have said that the Senate have a way of sweeping conversations that involve the Senate, especially the 10th Assembly, under the carpet. But we believe that some of these allegations are not true. These allegations are false. These allegations are unreliable. And these allegations are nothing to write home about. So that's what we believe. But then the Senate has to prove beyond itself on the preponderance of evidence in this matter, where it says sexual assault on the Senate President in the person of Godswill Obot Akpabio. We hope to see the Senate come back and rejig itself and also exonerate itself by saying, hey, we are not a rubber stamp assembly, like Nigerians have alleged that we have a rubber stamp assembly. Some people have even said that right now that the Senate is another wing, is another arm of the executive arm of government. Okay, let me put it right. It's another wing of the executive arm of government. But we believe so much in the Nigerian Senate that this is not factual, and this is not the true state and stance of the Nigerian Senate. The Nigerian Senate, over time, from our democratical dispensation, have been able to prove themselves beyond reasonable doubt and beyond all shadows of doubt, beyond the preponderance of evidence, that the Nigerian Senate are not just a people where you can just walk over. They are detailed people that stick to details in ensuring that they discharge their primary mandate, which is to make laws for the good people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. All of those conversations are captured in the Nation's newspaper, as said earlier. Well, that's the size of the newspaper review that we'll have even for you this morning. We'll go for a short break. When we come back, we will talk more before we call it a wrap on the show. Please stay with us as Global Morning continues in a moment.
know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us even till this time of the day. My name still is Godwin Sunday. Now, let's go straight to Edo State right now and look at what's happening in Edo State. And that's our final conversation even here on Global Morning this morning, being the 22nd of March 2025. Now, after a heavy downpour in Benin City, some roads inside the city were flooded with drainage system overflowing. Cars were also not spared in the flood. A man was caught on camera fetching water out of his cars. I will have videos here. I hope that we can be able to display those videos of Benin incidents in Benin, where a lot of motorists were stranded. Some cars were also sinking, and one will begin to ask him, what's going on in Benin, what's going on in Edo State at the moment? Is it that there are no drainage systems in Edo State, or we don't have a proper waste management in Edo State? I understand that prior to this time, the former governor of Edo State, the person of God's will, Godwin Obaseki, I beg your pardon, Godwin Obaseki was able to do a lot of things to bring much prosperity to the land. Monday Okpebolo also, when sworn into office, has also promised to uphold some of the good things that has been done in the state by his predecessors, and also ensure that he guarantees that a lot of improvement and development will be seen across the state. This where a situation where cars are being trapped in floods in Edo State because drainages tend not to be working in Edo State, and the rains have not yet started. The rains will likely start probably by the end of March, which is just a few days from today. We're looking at all of this conversation. What do you think and what do you make of the Edo State situation right now? And not just Edo State, we're looking across the country, because Edo State is just one at the moment. We are having a heavy rain, a downpour in Edo State. So what happens in your state right now if there's a heavy downpour in your state? Will the case still be a similar case with that what's happening on Edo State at the moment? Or will your community, your state, be different? Let that conversation start coming in right now on our various social media handle right now displayed on your screen. Don't forget that you can join the conversation also to keep track of our broadcast on Android and iOS devices. To be part of the conversation, you can download the Android and iOS devices. You can download the app on our Android and iOS devices to keep track of our daily broadcast. Right now, I've been saying now that it's time to go even on the Global Morning. I believe we've been able to keep you informed, keep you educated, and keep you enlightened on happenings across the country. The Global Morning returns tomorrow morning, same time on your screen. I am Godwin Sunday, and always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. From all of us here on the Global Morning crew, it's bye for now.